feels today? How are we? I know it's the new moon. It's the last new moon of the year, and I am feeling it. Curious to know how y'all are doing. I'm going to read a little bit about the new moon because the new moon, I love to do things with the moon. I love to talk to the moon. I love to run my business with the moon. My cycle is correlated with the new moon. And to manifest, especially in new moon situations, it's laying the foundations for your future self, and this time, I'm not an astrologer at all, but I love to look at these things. One of my closest friends is. It's about laying the foundations. It's in an earth sign, which is a potent refresh for the structures in your life, is what I read. And then I was online and I was reading this one part where it's the redefinition of success in the new paradigm. That feels so good to the soul. And so today I want that to be the energy. This is our last day together. This is the queen energy. In all honesty, the cozy time vibes are where I feel the most to myself, because this was something I never allowed myself to feel. Right? It wasn't like the Madonna where it was like this cutesy loving kind of thing. It was this grounded knowing, this peace. So excited for today. As I said yesterday, this whole thing is going to be a meditation. So I really, if we can just be here now, releasing the tension from our shoulders and our back, our lower back and our hips, all the way down to our thighs, our knees, our calves, our feet, and just release that there. Our arms, hands, wrists, necks. Just land here, wherever you are in the world, whatever time you're watching this at, being here, letting it come, grabbing your coffee, breathing in for the count of 4, breathing out for the count of 4, really landing and presently being in this space. This is our last day. It's the day when we're going to talk about pleasure and desire and the somatics and the body and the way the healing gets to be. I don't know about you, but holiday season, I don't know when you're watching this, but holiday season, if we've gone through grief or heartbreak, or we're going through a transition and we're having this like rebirth, which is a lot of people in my world, I'm seeing in my world, is this like quantum leap, this rebirth, this dark night of the soul that's happening. So the holidays can bring up some stuff, right? It can bring up some shit where you're just like, how do I move forward? I feel so different. I feel maybe a little bit alone. And so I want to show up in this power. I want to show up in this now what energy. What can I do? How do I tap back in? How do I make this more fun and pleasurable and delightful? And what does that look like? And what does that feel like? And that's going to be different for every single person that's in this program, every single person that's watching the replay, everyone that buys this after. Like, it's going to look different, but the concepts, the underlying tone, the roots are going to be different, or the same. They're going to be the same, the roots. So are we ready? Let me know how you're feeling. Feel called to just scream it out, to share, to let it release, to be here. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. So far we've covered quite a bit, right? We spoke about making it matter. We spoke about reclaiming your personal power. We spoke about taking radical ownership. We spoke about dismantling the ego, so we're no longer living from fears and all this subconscious programming. We spoke about dating in a masculine energy, and how the sexy savage and these parts of ourselves that often we can feel very strong in. That feminine energy kind of gets this bad rap, and the softness kind of gets this bad rap, and especially during the holidays, it's like, I can't relax. It's the new year. I got to do things. And we approach dating in kind of the same way. And I was speaking how if you push and try and control, it actually closes off. It closes you off because there's so much pressure. So we broke that down. And, how to really open ourselves to the love that we're craving starts with you. Starts with your energy. Starts with the way that you show up. Starts with the way that you converse. Starts in these elements. So I'm really excited. And how this all works. I'm curious to know, is this your first one? First off, is this your first one that you're watching? Is this the first video that you're watching? Are you caught up? Are you watching them in order? If this is your first one, hi, I'm Laura Patricia Martin, trauma and relationship specialist, and I've walked quite the journey to get here. Beyond the studies, right? Beyond the studies, it's been my life. This is my life's work. This is exactly where I was meant to be my whole life. And it feels so right? Like it feels like this is exactly the path. And I love to get to share this with you, because if anyone feels like they're lost and anyone feels like this relationship stuff, I can't nail it. I don't know, because I'm having this ache inside my chest, and I'm having these patterns that keep coming up, and I'm getting so frustrated because of the people that I'm surrounded by, or, I'm afraid to lean into this stuff because it'll make me feel ashamed of what I've done or what I've experienced, or, who I've been. Like it can be hard. And for anyone that feels that way, we often lean out. We throw ourselves into the places that make us feel good. And that can often feel like, I was listening to this part in church, right? And she was talking about, roots, and how our roots are actually the foundation of us all. But sometimes we have to cut away the dead parts to get there. And she compared it to a Christmas tree, right? Not a real Christmas tree here, although mine is big. She was talking about this. She's like, thing about the Christmas tree is it's actually dead. It's actually dead. And if we're looking at it, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. It has its ornaments with some intention. It gets attention, right? If we go to the store, I go to Amazon, get all the lights, get all the stuff, make it look all pretty. And it's beautiful, and we admire it, and we look at it. And it's how I view the high achieving entrepreneur, or high achieving women, or women of high standards and high value women. Kind of like a Christmas tree, right? But all too often I see in this world, it's kind of dead. It is dead, essentially, right? It's cut off from the stump. It's cut off from its roots. And in a few weeks, a real tree would die. No matter the ornaments, no matter the thing, it runs out of resource. And oftentimes we're not looking at the stump because we don't want to look at the stump. The stump doesn't look nice. It's not what we see on social media. It doesn't feel good. It's a stump, right? Like it's not cute. It's been through some things, and all the things that makes it beautiful have been stripped away. All the things that make it wonderful and of value and beautiful have been stripped away. Hi, beautiful Dawn. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Have been stripped away. And so when we're looking at a Christmas tree and we're seeing how beautiful it is, and we're seeing the ornaments, and we're seeing the stuff, we can kind of get taken aback by it. But when we actually look at the thing that is most valuable, it's the stump. And sometimes, especially during the holiday season, or during dating, or when we're stepping into dating and we're on social media and we see everyone else's fancy relationships, and we see everyone else's highlight reels, and we see everyone else's happy go lucky, here's my highlight of everything, we don't actually see the stump of what got people there, or what's actually going on, right? And what's going on. And it's not that we want to see that all the time. I don't think you'd want to see my entire healing journey through Sacred Sacred of the knees on the floor, the screaming and the crying, and the aches and the pains, and the things that I'm going to talk to you about today, and what got me here in the reclamation of this year. Not if you just had an entire highlight reel, if your Christmas card had only your stumps, I don't think people would like them as much as this like highlight of like, look at how happy my year was, and look at the dog that I bought, and all the kind of things, right? But we forget when we're looking at the Christmas tree that it came from a stump, right? And so that's what this reclamation is, and here's the thing about the stump, right? In order for it, And the woman in church, she was talking about this granny. She had to repurpose the tree because the tree had to stay there and it had to grow again, right? It had to build itself back up because the root system was actually what was keeping Granny's garden alive. And so the way to do this is you have to chop away all the bits on the tree that, because the branches, right? Like if the branches are dead, if the tree is dead and the branches that aren't getting like the dead branches, they're going to suck away nutrients from the part of the tree that needs the nutrients to rebuild. So you have to chop off all the dead bits, the things that are no longer serving you, but they're there. You grew with them. You grew an entire fucking tree with them, right? And you're chopping away these bits in order for it to grow. And then what the stump does is all the nutrients go to this ugly stump and starts to sprout new life. And so the thing that I want us to walk away from inside of the reclamation is the fact that sometimes we do have to strip away these things, the things that make us comfortable, the thing that are the ego, the thing that keeps us, that we identify with, that have built up our identity, that we see as our show pony, that has given us our value and our worth. But the stump is where the magic is. And we get down to the core of the roots. And sometimes the mess is in it. And I said this the other day because my mentor had said it and I loved it, where it was like, sometimes we make mistakes, but it doesn't mean you are a mistake, right? Sometimes when we're doing relationship stuff and we beat ourselves up and we don't want to look at it, it shifts. This was my story, right? This is how I got into relationships. I hurt a really good man. Because I wasn't feeling like I was lovable yet. And so I started dating and emasculating men, and it was a really good guy that I had hurt. And I realized I don't want to do this ever again. But I made a mistake. I was not a mistake. And I took ownership. And now that I knew better, I got to choose to do better. Right. And that's what led to, birthing sacred singlehood and getting into this dynamic and studying trauma and the things that I've now built, instead of getting stuck in the fact of, shit, I'm a shitty person and I did something, and getting stuck there. I was a shitty person. Now let me do something in a space of love, in a space of pleasure and desire. We're going to talk about all this stuff today. So I'm really excited for today. There is still opportunity to join the giveaway if you would desire. I am going to be drawing the name, and I will be announcing that tomorrow. All you have to do is engage, be active in the chat, share your insights, and then share on social media. Tag me in it. It's Laura Patricia Martin is my Instagram. And that will put you into the Backstage Pass, which is 12 months of masterclasses for 2023, which is $1,000 in value. So that's really exciting. You'll get at least 10 masterclasses in there. And if you just wanted to purchase that, that is $1,111 or extended payment plan available. Again, this is a meditation. So breathe in 4, breathe out 4, eyes open, be here now. And so use the chat box. I invite you to be here. I invite you to enjoy everything. Just for a brief second, Iconic is now 11,101. That's our 6-month one-on-one. I will talk about that at the end. We have behind the scenes, which is our mastermind. That is 707 until 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. today. So 2 hours from now. And then the one that we'll have on 24 offer is Backstage Pass. So instead of $1,000 or $1,000, 1111, it'll be $770, $777 as well. So I'll send that all in the recap. I will talk about that at the end, but just to give you guys a little thing, because if you want to continue this conversation, if you're feeling really good with this, if you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm ready to step in and I'm claiming ownership over my relationship patterns and, my bonds and my things like that, and you want to continue this conversation, depending where you're at, if you're looking for high level, if you're looking for mid-level, if you're looking for education based, we have something for everyone. So just reach out there. And so how are we feeling? Dawn, it's so good to see you. Oh my goodness, I love you so much. I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee before we jump in. I have a little eye thing. You guys get me straight out of my thing. Hi, baby. It's so good to see you. So I'm excited for today because one, you guys are seeing me literally. The thing about, so we have covered in the archetypes, right? Because remind you, the way that I'm doing this masterclass is I'm presenting myself in the archetype ways that psychologically men seek out. right? Like these are different kind of things, and kind of adapting these and giving you the permission slip to do this in whatever way it is, because we all have different capacities of it. I have little eye boogers. Hi. Different capacities. And it's a meditation, right? Breathe in for 4, breathe out for 4. And it's education based. We're doing a lot because I wanted it to be an immersion and experience. So we went through the first 2. So we did the whore, which I was sleeping last night and I was like, I should have called that like the sacred slut, because I feel like that's more aligned to me and getting adjusted to that. So sacred slut, which is just essentially your turned on energy, your like fierce, sacred. I love that you made it a meditation. I love, yeah. It's this fierce like draw magnetism energy, the sacred slut, right? Like it's reclaiming what that means, which is what I taught inside of Seductress, and becoming that bitch a little bit. But it's really owning this just like sexual turned on side that all of us have. All of us have, we just often shut it down because we're afraid of it. And then we have the Madonna side, which is this nurturing, unconditional love and caring side, right? Like this is where it's not about like making their lunch and taking care of them and doing these kind of things, although we did have that. We do that with ourselves. It's this like internal like love and appreciation and like admiration and like giddy little playful. Like if I think about it, like when my sexy man is here, he's like, I'll just like run over. He like says something, I don't even know what he says, and I just like run over and I go, ee! And I like jump on his lap and like I don't even like, it's just playful. Like it's this nurturing, it's this like I am yours, it's this like giddy, it's not this like serious whatever like we're going to see me be in today, but it's like this, you get it, you get the vibe. It's just this like cute little thing. You're not it all the time, because if you're cute like it's not going to be that cute, right? Like it gets to be a little bit much. We need the sacred slut, we need the nurturing side of us, and the queen. And so it's funny because I thought about the queen and I was like, oh, like I could have done that at like a dinner or something. But like for me, in all honesty, and this is why it's a different variety for everyone, a queen to me is, you know, it's the divinity. It's deeply respected. It's this reverence. It challenges you in a good way. And that shows up to me in the morning. This is me, right? Like I have a little bit of makeup on because I needed a little bit to feel comfortable on camera. We're getting there. You know, it's me with my coffee, it's me with my journal, it's me with my setup, it's me sitting in the floor wrapped in like a wild amount for someone that lives in Texas, furry things and like warm stuff. It's where I challenge myself every morning. And you know, we do these things, and I really want this to be the embodiment of it, because we often do these things where it's like we come in a relationship and we want that to bring that part of us out, right? Breathe in for 4, breathe out for 4. This is the meditation. Be here. We want that to bring us out, right? Like we want someone else to bring these parts of ourselves out. And sometimes, I know I felt this way, the queen side of it was diminished. I remember because, and I felt this in my current relationship as well, and I'll kind of speak to that, but even in my previous one, I thought, because I'd spent 2 years single, building an empire, building a movement, building a 6-figure plus business, you know, and I had no life, right? Like I told you guys how I burnt myself out building that one. I had no real deep relationships. I got chronically ill. Like I was miserable. I was suicidal. I had an eating disorder to have some stability or control. And this, not really, but like this whole thing happened, right? And so I thought, and it was like I had PTSD coming into a new relationship after that. It was like I, in my head, had convinced myself that I can't have both. I can't have a relationship and a successful business. I can't be the queen that challenges and is deeply spiritual and has these practices and like is me. I have a lot of like routines and I'm a deep human being. I literally don't know how to have, like, even when we had Thanksgiving at my house, like there was like in my living room this side, and then in the kitchen there was another side. It was like in the living room, it's like a sister circle. So I'm like sitting down and like their boyfriends were having deep conversations. Like I'm incapable of not having environments like that in my life. But my family deems that as too much and they don't like it. And I've had to do a lot of healing on that because I used to shy that away. And then in my past relationship, I was afraid if I was all of these things, I would cut it down. So I became this like housewife of me, like the shell. And the thing was, like, I was happy. I was happy being that. And I didn't even realize that I was doing it until I was out of it. And I was like, holy pickles. Where'd I go? Where did the spicy, fiery, excitable, too much, too loud, too sensual, too sexual, like, where did she go? And I think I know it was, I was so afraid that someone would leave me because of it. And ultimately, when I started to step into it, he did. And so you bet your bottom dollar coming into this current relationship, I was slow. I was very slow to being me because I was afraid of not being accepted. But what hit me one time, and this is the reclamation, what hit me with the queen is, was I really about to self-abandon in order to be chosen so that they didn't abandon me? Was that I would rather abandon myself than someone else abandon me? That didn't fucking make sense. And it hit me like a weight of bricks where I was like, wait, if I'm truly going to step into this chapter of my life and claim fucking ownership and be too much and be all of me, because this is my true essence, all of me. I set things up in the way. I have all this stuff. You guys have seen the way that I dress. I speak the way that I speak. My personality is comfortable claiming attention. I desire it. I want to make a movement in the world. This is me. That has taken work to get there, of course. That is what I teach inside of Becoming That Bitch. But it's that is my essence. Like, if you know me, that is what I do. Right? And it's the permission slip for other people. This is why I was saying, like, the bougie spritz and the boozy bitch, like, be too much, be all of these things. And to claim that and to show up in that, because it's a different type of energy. And I realize the difference now, because the too muchness that I was feeling before in previous relationship was like, I was just like a chicken nugget trying on. I literally would rent my, like, I call it rent my best friend, because I would rent her closet instead of rent the runway, her name, Marina, rent through Marina. And I would rent her clothes because I was trying on different personality traits because I didn't yet have it. And I was doing all these kind of things. And I get why it was too much, because it wasn't me yet. But I was willing to try, and I was willing to do these things, and I was willing to figure it out until I became this. My version of the queen, the enlightened, the grounded, and I will challenge you. I am not like, I make the joke where it's just like, and it's in a good way. It's not in a mothering bad boy kind of way. And I don't do this I try not to do this to myself. Let me be honest. We're not perfect. I try not to do this to myself either, but like, I challenge myself daily. Every day I'm a new person. Every day I'm learning something. I'm bringing it in. And like, even with Sexy Man, like, he went, like, my New Year's thing, he's like, okay, because I'm flying out tomorrow to go be with him and his family. It's like, I'm so excited we're doing this New Year thing. Like, we have it planned out. And he's like, I don't ever do this, but I like want to learn, like, this is a thing. It's like, I'm not telling him any of this. He's not in my world. Right? Like, he, even the other day, he's like, I need a dictionary for the words that he's saying because I don't know what's happening. So I was like, I just channeled the best thing. He's like, channeled what from the divinity of what? Like, what are you talking about? And it's like this knowing, this a challenge because you are, because this is who you be, right? And so when you claim all parts of yourself and you make all of these parts come in, it's like, it's this woman that knows her fucking self. She is enlightened. She is grounded. She is a living sanctuary. She is in a path of growth. She is too much, yet she is always going to try and be more. You know, it's this knowing of yourself, whatever that means to you. We are going to be different, right? Like, there is no comparison. It's just shoulder to shoulder, we rise together. That's how feminine, and like my biggest hope for this world is like, we realize there is no competition. It's shoulder to shoulder. We rise together. We do this together. We learn, right? And from there, we start to have the wisdom and the, you know, the depth and the respect and the reverence. And these are the things that come together. And so we grow and we do this with each other. And so that's this for me. Some women, the queen energy is like in the CEO and in their suit and like whatever. But for me, it's literally in wintertime. It's this cozy ass hotel robe that, if you know me, I literally base my hotels based off of the hotel robes, the robes they have. So Sexy Man got me this one. Or I have my silk robe for the summertime, and I sit and it's my morning and I have my fancy latte with my espresso maker, and this is it. I used to think it was the CEO in my laptop, and I would take those photos and you guys would see that. And like, that's what I thought my enlightenment queen was. And it's like so cute to look back at those even a year ago. Those were my photos. And now it's like, it's this alive, it's this grounded, it's my internal wisdom. So I invite you to figure out what that means for you and like play with these archetypes. Like I said, I played Rent the Marina because I had no idea. I was a broke backpacker that just moved back to the States. I had no idea who the fuck I was. I just knew I wanted to become something. I knew I had this fire inside me. I knew I wanted to be something. By the way, this is the meditation. 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out, 4 counts out. Eyes open. Here. I knew I wanted to become something. And I know you guys do too. There's this like fire. There's this thing where it's like, oh, let me try all these kind of things. And like, let that be okay that we're figuring out. It's like, we forget that that's something we did as a child. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know, firefighter, a nurse, a doctor, a superhero. Like, we got to try things on. It takes time to figure out who you are and what feels good and what gives you this queen. I don't even like that word queen and king. And like, I don't fucking, you guys know I don't fuck with that shit. But like, that is this energy. It's this leader of your life, of this, like, I take radical ownership over every single thing. I hold the energy of a room whenever I walk in it because that's my desire. I love being noticed. And we're going to talk about being a high value woman today. I feel this energy in my body and I want it. And I challenge people in a good way. I am a projector, and sometimes I realize my advice wasn't needed until I realized this power that I have. It's when it's wanted, when it's desired, when someone wants to be challenged. That's when you show up. That's when you step into this energy. That's when it is, especially in our relationships. Sometimes we can do it like how I spoke about yesterday, this like, this not broken, but like this wounded mothering energy, this wounded space of I can't rise if you don't rise. So therefore you need to step up to the fucking plate and you need to do these things. And this is when we're like pedestaling the woke man and the man that does the work. It's like, my man doesn't do the work, yet he's the most masculine man I know. Like, that's why he's the sexiest man on the planet. He doesn't even know the power. Like, that's what's so cool. Like, in the fact that he doesn't do the work doesn't change the fact that I do. And the fact that I do the work does not put pressure on him to do it. He is that naturally. How cool is that? You know, and it's like trusting people in their power. I don't have to come in and tell him to do anything. I am just me and he's curious about it. That's what we strive for, acceptance. I have a post that I'm going to be posting about this later about what love truly is and its actual radical acceptance. So that's what I wanted to speak about with that. So I'm going to drop the last 3 codes for today for this module. We will likely go over, but stay with me. I respect your time. I know Christmas Eve is tomorrow and other things. So I do want to just get this in today. And if we go over, we go over and it's totally fine. And if you have to jump off, I trust your timing and you'll come back and all the kind of things. But I love you. How are we feeling about the archetypes, the whore, the Madonna, and the Queen? If you have any questions about them, let me know. Any roadblocks, any things like these 3 have changed my year, right? Like, this is what this program is. It's the reclamation, it's becoming, it's the showing up and being everything that you are. Like, these 3, 1, it's what keeps a relationship alive and draws in the relationship that we crave, but it starts with you. It starts with getting comfortable in all these elements and just playing with them. It's experimenting with them. Okay, so code 4 is, I love having a bit of all 3 and playing with them. I love you. I love you so much. Okay, so let me recap the ones that we done. So we said, making this matter, reclaiming your personal power, and taking radical ownership. You have to dismantle your ego, so your fears, doubts, and insecurities stop running the show. And then we talked about your dating in masculine energy, the same savage energy that got you to the top of your career or through the school system or through your health journey or what have you, isn't what's going to get you the love that you're craving. And it's just kind of taking ownership over that. So 4 breaths in. Why do I keep saying 4 breaths? 4 counts of a breath in, 4 counts out. Eyes open, letting this be. the meditation, letting this whole thing be the most present you feel all day. So code number 4 is the dates, the relationship that you're seeking, all the things you show up to. It is not a job interview, and it isn't meant to heal your trauma, although it could. I think a lot of us, I know a lot of us, myself included, enter into relationships going, I'm going to heal my wounds in this. It's a lot of pressure, and we have this like trauma bonding, like I'm going to stay in this no matter what because I'm healing my trauma and pushing through this. And you know what? Relationships do heal a lot of things, but they can heal from love. They don't have to heal from pain. I didn't know this. I didn't get this. And I didn't understand also showing up to a date and looking for red flags instead of just witnessing this person in front of me and being so present. The thing that not intimidated. No, I'll go with intimidated. Sexy man on our first date is I knew coming into dating the energy I wanted to be met with. I wanted to be met with full presence. I wanted to be met with someone that was with me. I'd been on quite a few dates, and it felt like they were just projecting onto me who they wanted me to be. And especially with more wealthier men, it was like this projection of, this is how I want you to fit my life. And this is how I expect this date to go. And this is how I expect you to be. And it was very interesting energy. Or they're sitting and they're like on their phone and they're like doing this and they're trying to prove themselves and pitch themselves to me. And then they do my career. So they're like trying to get advice and like listen to the things I've been through. Slight is kind of bothering me, but whatever. Listen to the things that I've been to. And I'm like, fantastic. Like, did you actually want to learn about me? And so I knew the energy I wanted to bring into the date, right? So I was fully there. I was shaking so bad. I make the joke we joke about our first date often because it's like, he's like, you were looking into my soul, it intimidated the fuck out of me. And I was like, I was literally afraid I was going to spill my Prosecco everywhere. Like I was texting my sister, my best friend, before getting on the date. I was like, I hadn't even met him yet. And I was like, I can't get out of the car. I can't stop shaking. Like, I don't know what's happening to my body, like whatever. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, holding this energy of like deep presence and eye contact. Because the thing that we do when we're dating is we want to interview them, essentially. What's your job? Or what brought you on this career? Da, da, da. And we're like pitching ourselves back and forth as opposed to who are you really? And I believe the eyes are the gateway to the soul. So I'll just be there, right? Like I do make deep eye contact. That is something I've worked to get comfortable with. But he was like, we were there. Like we were literally in an orbit. And that's, I mean, if you are ever around us, like that is how it is. Like, it's just this like deep thing. Presence. And the thing that sets that apart is because a lot of us are dating and like, well, how do I look? How am I sitting? What am I doing? Is my face too red? Am I eating weird? Like, wait, is there anything on my face? Is my lipstick still okay? Like we're thinking about ourselves as opposed to being truly present with that person and listening to the answers. And then we come in and it's like, and what's that movie, The Holiday? And she comes in and she's like, so tell me about your life, your upbringing, your family, what's important to you, what's your 5-year plan? And he's like, whoa. Is this a job interview? And she's like, I'm sorry, I haven't dated in a while, but we do that. And the woman that is doing that is Cameron Diaz. And she's like this high value CEO woman. And like, that's what we do. It's like, what purpose are you giving me? And I get that because we want to know, what value are you bringing to me? But there's a way of doing it where you're not seeking red flags. You're actually looking for the green ones. And it's just a conversation. If that person wasn't meant to be, and this is why I believe Sexy Man and I are where we're at, it's because it wasn't meant to be anything. I was a girl from out of town, a woman from out of town. He was just a man that was taking a woman from out of town to oysters and bubbles because that's what her bio said that she wanted. Like, it was during my single woman summer, in a small town in Florida. Like, it wasn't meant to, there was no expectation on it. So it was just two people hanging out. And I was practicing the things I wanted to be met with in the world. I wanted to be felt. And I think We don't do that enough. 4 breaths in, or 4 counts in, 4 counts out. And then the other side of this is that, and so when we're on dates, it's like, how can I just be there with this person? Ask questions, yeah, but like in a different light, just like, who are you really? I think we shy away from the deeper questions because we don't want to be too much, but who wants to talk about the weather, or what college you went to, or what state, or what brought you to town? It's like, I'm so sick of those fucking conversations. It's like, what are you afraid of? Always fears if it's too much. Yeah, the deeper questions. And it's like, there's a time and a place. It's like jumping in, sure, like whatever. But like, if you truly trust your body, and we're going to get into this in the last module about our body and somatics and things like that, or the last code, this is the last module. It's like, you can tell if it's a safe person if they're open to receive these questions, right? Like, I jump in if you ever sit down, like even my first friend in Dallas, I think it was about maybe 3 minutes before I started talking about gene keys and human design and all these kind of things, and her mouth was just like, you speak woo. No one here speaks. No one talks about this stuff. I'm like in the closet about this. And I was like, I literally am incapable of speaking any other way. Like, I don't know how not to. And like, it's the more you practice it, the less weird it is. Right? Again, it's this fear-based. Fear is going to be there until bravery comes in, where it's like feeling the fear and taking action. Therefore, it equals confidence, and bravery, or equals, that's what bravery is. Bravery gives you confidence. It's doing the thing over and over again until it's no longer a thing you're afraid of. It's how I build confidence. And we show ourselves we can do these things. And so the other side of this is that oftentimes we come into relationships and they become our trauma healer. I'm going to come in and I'm going to heal all my trauma. I fucking did this in my last relationship. I admit fully, I ownership over all of that. Oh, if I do it this way, fabulous. That was annoying me, and I get to lean back. I did this in my last relationship where it was like, I had been through domestic violence and drugs and addiction and eating disorder and a lot of familial things, and, sexual assault and abandonment wounds, rejection, like so many things, that I was like, this man I love is going to help me heal it. And so it was like any trigger that came up, it was like projected onto him, and he had to fix it. And it's his job to cultivate safety and do all these kind of things. And sometimes, yes, but I was actually just talking to my best friend about this, because we do this until we realized not to do this. We both did in our past relationships, and now we're in very healthy relationships. And we're talking about it, we're like, it's just so nice for the relationship just to be the relationship. Like, my boyfriend just gets to be my boyfriend. He's not my healer. He's not my therapist. He's not my mentor. Like, he's not, I have that. I have a therapist. I have a mentor. I have best friends. I have spiritual leaders. Like, I don't need him to do these things. Sometimes when I land on him, and I spoke about this inside of Sacred Singlehood this round, because it's so big and I see it so often, it's like trauma bonding, I'm going to heal all my shit. Like, relationships get to be fun and easy. And this is going to be the second code that we get into today. They get to be fun and easy. They get to be delightful. Like, I don't fucking subscribe to relationships being hard. I don't. I thought I did. My last relationship, I was like, I remember he would come to me, he's like, why do we fight so much? We don't fight. We would have conversations, but to him that was fighting, because he grew up in a conflict avoidant family. But I was like, relationships take work. Relationships are hard. And I sat with that, this breakup, like in my little single girl moment. And I was like, do I really believe that to be true? Or is that just what's been modeled to me? Do I really believe I have to fight for something? Do I really believe he has to be my healer of all things, and he has to change the way that, what I feel comfortable about and what relationship means to me and how I feel in my insecurities and my attachment? Is that really something he needs to fix, or is that me? And what healing can I do now in order to show up in a relationship that I feel fully in surrender and safety? So for you, it's looking at that, like, am I waiting to do my healing in relationship, or is it something I can do? And the thing that you do, the thing that's honestly true, is the healing that you do on your own, you're gonna have to do in relationship. This is why I'm gonna create a dating program next year, which I was saying, if you guys want to jump in, that'll be 1,000 111, and we can put a payment plan extended on that, because that'll be whatever, and it's gonna be 2,000 something. But there's no landing page, so you have to reach out for that one. The things you do for yourself right now, you're gonna have to do in a relationship, but there's a different way of doing it. It's not like I did it how it's like in sacred singlehood, or in your singlehood, you're like doing all these kind of things, and then all of a sudden, oh, now let me project this onto you. It's like truly healing things is like for example, my anxious attachment. Like truly healing that, I didn't have like my codependency, it was healed ish in my last relationship. And then I really took ownership over that in my single period to come into this relationship. And I know God has his funny ways to give me a man that is horrible with his fucking phone. Horrible. But, and we were having this conversation the other day, because he was like, you don't even know how much better I am with my phone with you, and da da da, and like all these kind of things. And I get this is juvenile, but it was a huge insecurity of me, because my brain would run out like, you're fucking someone else, you're doing all these things. And it did for a long time. But that was a me problem, because I trust this man more than anything in my life. Like anything in my life is a strong way, but like I trust him fully, right? And he tells me too much about things when it's a thing, but like this phone thing was a big thing. It was a big thing for both of us. But I didn't come to the relationship and go, you know, I come from a background of doing the 12 steps and coda and trauma bonding, and, you know, fuck this, you need to cater to, and you need to answer your phone because all my insecurities are coming up, and da da. I never once said that to him. Everyone, literally, we were on the phone, and I was just like, and I'd go and I'd regulate myself. And I just started like, I was like, if I truly want to be with this man, how can I accept him more? And the more I did that, the more he started showing up and doing the things, and we built this thing, because again, love is built on acceptance, not changing someone. Yes, there's compromise, but it's, do I accept this person for who they truly are? And can I do my own healing work instead of projecting it onto him? Right. And so I'm feeling this anxiety and whatever. And finally, like one day we were having a chat, and I like somehow our conversation got on this topic, and I like was talking about codependency and like the 12 steps, and he's like, see, these are the things like you want to know about your girlfriend, Laura, because I didn't know like all this stuff and how uncomfortable. And I was like, but that's the thing, I don't want you to. I got me. I don't need you to do that. Right. And it's working on these things at different capacities. It's not, if your relationship is putting you into a traumatized state every day and triggered, and you're like, I'm healing all my stuff from my generational trauma and all the kind of stuff we like to build out, it's probably not the right relationship for you. There are relationships for that. Don't get me wrong. Majority of you have probably had them, or we heal our shit in them. But the right relationships, I truly believe in the reclamation of relationships that I see moving forward, is safety, is calm, is like, I don't need you to be my healer. Like, you're just a safe place for me to land and to remind me and bring me back to love, because that's what the masculine does. It's just safe. And it might even feel fucking boring to you because it feels safe. Like, I'm like, shouldn't we like fight or something? I don't know. You know, and this is where we start to reject, like, there has to be something wrong. I'm waiting for the shoe to fall. What's wrong with them? I'm bored. Let me stir up some stuff. And like, that's our nervous system work. And that's, go enroll in sacred singlehood if that's what you find yourself doing. But this is where we start to heal, right? Like, your relationship doesn't have to be that way. Also, this is the meditation. Floor counts in, floor counts out. Eyes open, being here now. Relationships get to be easy. Make that reclamation now. Claim it for yourself. Own that. Relationships get to be easy. Healing gets to be easy. This chapter of life gets to be easy. Not to say there's not going to be hardships. There doesn't have to be struggle. There really doesn't. Okay? And I heard this the other day when I was watching a movie where it was like, when people say it's easier said than done, sometimes things are better done than said. And I love that. So take that with this, like, yeah, that's easy for you to say. It's like, it wasn't easy for me to say. That's why I went to 12 steps and did all the stuff and invested 6-figure plus on self-development. It wasn't. But instead of saying that's easier said than done, I went and did it. So my invitation for you for this end of the year, we have a week left, whatever, week and a half into 2023. Holy pickles, 2023. That's wild. Instead of saying it's easier said than done, sometimes things are easier done than said. Stop saying things and just go do. Be. Take action. Do something. Right? Okay. So code number 5. Let me see my hand. Look. Are my nails so cute? I did like a little red this time. She's like, it's literally the same color. I was like, leave me alone. Anyways, distracted. Code number 5. You're dating from a space of need instead of desire and pleasure. And desire and pleasure are your secret weapon, right? Like, so turning these back on, that's where your magic lies. A lot of us, are afraid of our magic, of our feminine magic, of this turned on state, of that sexual, sensual, sacred slut, whatever the fuck I wanted to call her. Like, all these kind of things, we're afraid of her because we know the power and the potency of what that is, because we maybe had some things said about us. We maybe had some things done to us. Maybe had some life happen because of this turn on state and some unwanted energy. And the school system fucked us. And it's like, you have to earn your sense of worth. You have to earn your A's, and therefore you get approval and you get a sticker. Good job, kid. Like, it fucked us. It really did. And so we think things, again, going back to, has to be hard. You have to push for it. And going back to what we talked about yesterday about control and push, it's blocking your capacity to attract, right? And so when I was going through my single season, I made the choice that it was going to be fun. Not that I wasn't going to hurt. Man, like, I was doing one of these recaps. That's why my heart was so tender this morning. I don't know why I was doing this morning right before going live, but I was doing one of those recaps, and I can feel my eyes watering, of 2022. And I do it every year. It's part of my process, but there was like a sound and audio on Instagram of like this video, January, February, March, and brings you through it. I do one personally where I make a highlight reel of my life, and then I can celebrate that stuff, and then I move into the future tripping blood. I should do a year in review program one time. And how I do my whole process. But I was sitting there and there's so much pain from this year. There was so much. And all the pleasure. You can see this transition from February onwards of this woman in pain, but not letting that pain define her at all. But she felt it. And I want that to be your permission slip, whatever you're going through, whatever grief, whatever story, whatever your thing, they can coexist together. Duality for me, I am the duality queen, right? The thing I love about me and the work that I do is the dark nights of the soul. That tree stump, they're fully felt. It's not bypassing, it's not anything, but there's this container around it. There's this beauty in it, and then we get to have fun. And the thing that I didn't realize about dating and relationships and healing is there gets to be delight in it too. And I thought dark night of the soul meant looking at your shadows every day and healing and spending a lot of time in sister circles and going on solo travel and drinking cacao and meditating and journaling and looking at your wounds and healing and transmuting and all this kind of stuff. I didn't understand the body yet. I know trauma. I know the science. I know the parts of the brains that we have to tap into. I know the parts of the nervous system and where the vagal tones and how we have to get them involved. I understand the metabolism. I love science. But the reason I love science, and I know a lot of you do too, is because it distracts us. If I study enough, will this pain go away? If I learn about it enough, will it go away? Not not really. I know, Dawn. It's because we're the same. Like, it's we do it. We go, we buy the books, we do the things, we binge listen to podcasts, we don't even listen to music anymore. We definitely stopped dancing, we stopped moving, we stopped playing, we stopped drinking, we stopped watching Netflix, we stopped eating cookies. And so I saw this part of myself in my breakup. Right. And I didn't want to fucking do that anymore. I didn't want to take everything so fucking seriously anymore. It was so, I missed that part of me. And like, I didn't even know if she's how to bring her out, because the last time even bringing her out, it was like drugs and alcohol induced. I didn't know. Right. And I was afraid of her, and I didn't want it to be too much. And I had all these rules in my head of how breakups are supposed to go because I self-imposed them. Like, how we spoke about yesterday, you can't drink, definitely don't eat, be alone, spend time alone, take it all seriously, be obsessed with it. And it was like this war inside my head. I don't know why I'm crying about this. It's just that feeling. And so I said, fuck all that. And I had fun. Like I went out and, I dated a DJ for a bit. So we would be at the club and I would just dance. Like he would sit in the corner and I would just dance. Like I didn't know then at the time what I was doing. That wasn't the intention. I just felt my body needed to move and release and scream. And it was all this pain that I'd been carrying for years. For years. And it wasn't that I needed to be drunk or high to fucking do this. I preferred not to be. I just wanted to go. And I made it fun. It was like this. I remember sitting down with him and, we knew this was the time when I was supposed to move out of Dallas. And, this guy, he's like, well, I want to take you out before you go. I knew he just wanted to sleep with me. And I was like, perfect. Because that's all I wanted. I didn't want intimacy. I wanted an in-between boyfriend. And so I told him that. And I was like, I'm not just going to sleep with you, whatever. You're going to take me out. You're going to court me. You're going to show up. You're going to be reliable. And then we'll see where it goes. And he's like, noted. Got it. And that's what that was. And it was so fun because it was so different from anything I knew. I broke every rule I had for myself just to see if I wanted to and how it felt. Oh my God, guys, I kid you not. It felt so good. There was so much pleasure. There was so much desire. There was so much play. There was so much turn on for life. Like I laughed so hard. Like that part of me that I thought I lost years ago because of the trauma. Because I thought that's what good girls do. Because that's what I thought CEOs do. And spiritual healers and like the people I see on the internet that don't drink and don't club and go to bed by fucking 2 p.m. Like all the things that don't fit me. It's like, what happens if I throw out the real book? What happens if you throw out the real book of how this looks to you and you actually started to trust yourself? And again, it's the awareness of like, I'm not bypassing. Like I said, there was so much pain in between those. Like I remember before photo shoots just being on the fucking floor screaming in pain because my heart hurt so much and he wasn't there, and family stuff was like, there was so much happening on the back end. And I'd call my best friend and I'm like, I can't, like, and she's like, 5 minutes, give yourself 5 minutes without trying to fucking fix this, then get your butt off the floor and get in a cold shower. Thanks. And I would go. And it was this duality of pain and pleasure. And like everything was felt. Everything was felt, and that felt so good and so free. And that is my deepest desire for you to reclaim that part of yourself. That you get to be both. You can be in the depths of the pain and the dark night of the soul and the stump of the tree with all the things that are cut away that you thought once made you beautiful. but you realized inside that the tree was actually dead. It just looked beautiful. And the hard part about that is the realization and the surrender of it, and the fuck, this whole time I haven't been true. But the roots were always there. We got afraid of the passion and the excitement because it didn't fit the norm, and it didn't fit the identity that we built up over the years because of our personality traits, because of 7-year-old whatever pre-trauma. And then we built up our protection mechanisms around that, and therefore we built this pretty tree. And then we get to a point in our life and we're like, none of this is me. And then we have to have that inner strength to fucking cut the branches away. And that's scary. But sometimes we get it twisted where it's like, oh, I have to cut out. I have to take it so seriously. Like, who would have fucking thought clubbing and having wild sex that allowed me to sacred scream would be the thing that truly, and I truly think that is, it wasn't sitting on a fucking block meditating. It wasn't sitting in sister circles. It wasn't doing the full moon stuff. I did all of that, yes, because that is just a part of me. I do that anyways. It was this outlier month that I had where I did everything. I ran the best programs. I had some of my, best work. I was on my knees in pain, and I was out dancing because it felt good. And it's gonna look different. I'm not saying go club. I'm not saying that's your thing. Like, that just is what God led me to. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I let pleasure come through. And again, 4 breaths in, or 4 counts in, 4 counts out. This is the meditation. And the reason this is your body is how you heal trauma. It is not, we're going to go over, I just looked at the time, we're going to go over because I still have another code to give you. And I'm in this with you. Your body is where you heal trauma. A lot of us think, let me study this. Let me learn about attachments and, trauma bonding and boundaries and communication styles and dating and confidence and bravery and all my entire product suite. Let me learn. And I get that because the reason I know what I know is because I learned. But then there comes this point where we also have to become, and we have to embody. Trauma isn't what happened to you. It's what happened to your body in the moment that something happened to you. And trauma might not stick with you, but it's any event. It's the personality trait that you're trying to shift. You got that because of something that happened in your body, and your body built up a defense mechanism around it. And that's what built your personality trait. This is why when we're sitting and we're saying, I don't like someone's characteristic, or I don't like someone's personality trait, what you're saying is you don't like the way that they learn to defend themselves in this world. All things considering, those can change. My anger was my defense mechanism. I was such a fucking cunt. I was such a cunt. So angry, so rude, so selfish. I didn't like that about myself, so I changed it. Because that was my defense mechanism. It gets to change, it gets to mold. So trauma isn't something we can mentally heal. This is why therapy alone doesn't do it. This is why my clients that have been in therapy for decades can transmute stuff within a fucking hour of my VIP sessions. Because we feel instead of think. And when we've been through trauma, that is so foreign. Sometimes that's too much. Sometimes sitting and feeling our body and doing the kind of stuff is too much, right? This is why I said I didn't sit on a block and meditate to heal myself. I didn't do that. I hardly ever actually do that. I move. I release. I scream. I dance. I dance in my house. I dance at nightclubs. I dance in grocery stores. I sway a lot. As a means of I didn't even catch me. It was my boyfriend's friend caught it one time. He was like, do you just sway all the time? And I do it when I'm in crowded places. just to like soothe myself. You'll see me do it at airports. I'll just like kind of bob back and forth. Just as we do a kid that's being frightened. They move, they shake, they release, they charge, they ram things, they throw themselves on the floor. They dance when they want and they hear music and they feel it. They when they're scared or whatever, we hold them and we rock them to soothe them. We just stopped doing that with ourselves, pretending like we actually aren't just adult children. Right? And so the thing about the body is it's body-based cues that helps us heal things and helps us reclaim our power in this world. What do I feel when I go on a date? What do I feel around my partner? What do I feel before I think? Because your body will have stored up stuff. Your body will feel it way more, way sooner than your brain. Your body, the thing about the body is we were probably feeling it for a while, and then all of a sudden it hits our mind, and this is when we blow off the handle. This is when we cause fights. This is when we yell at our family. This is when we yell at our kids. We blow up. I can count. I can tell you your body felt that first. And so when we get back in our body and we actually can start to feel it, where am I feeling tension? Where are my needs not being met? We gaslight our body with our mind. And then we get so mad about men gaslighting us and all the kind of things, and our parents gaslighting us. And it's like, how often are you gaslighting yourself? How often are you gaslighting? I know I was. I thought I could think my way out of my pain. I thought I could think my way out of the decades of trauma that I had. I thought I could think my way out of my grief if I read enough grief books. I'd be okay, right? And then it wasn't working, so therefore I felt like a fucking failure. And instead of trimming my tree, I just kept putting more ornaments on it. More certifications, more ways that I looked, more people that I could please. More money, more impact, more numbers, more value, more things, until it got to the point that I was like, I can't hold this. My tree is dying. There's no actual stump holding this together. It hurts. And it wasn't until I realized the body. 4 counts in, 4 counts out. And this is the meditation. This is why I do this. Our body, our breath, the way we feel, the way we move. When we can enter in and we start to understand the way we feel is really based off of our environment and the people that are around us. But instead of being reactive, which a lot of us do, especially women, we can actually control it. What is the energy I want to feel in this room? I am so good. You can feel my energy before I even enter a room. That's the vibe. The energy before you come to an event for me. That's the vibe. There is a way that you can show and control your energy. That this is what I teach inside of Becoming That Bitch, studying The Seductress, inside of Sacred Singlehood. Like, you're the master, you're the creator, you're the artist of your life. What is it that you want to do? It's just getting comfortable with your power, comfortable with the pleasure and the desires, and letting that be known. I want all eyes on me when I enter a room. Maybe you don't, maybe you do. I want an invitation. I want this. And to just like let it be as such. And like showing up in that energy, showing up in that body, showing up in the power, and getting so fucking comfortable with that. Not from a pedestal protection way, which a lot of people do, but from a grounded queen energy that feels like a living sanctuary that people want to talk to. Not the intimidation factor, the like, whoa, energy. Right? And this is felt through the body. And when we're going through traumatic things, sometimes we can't think our way out of it. So how do you want to feel it? Is it dancing? Is it, it's completing the cycle of when the trauma is felt. So like when I'm feeling anxious, sometimes if something comes up, it's like I have to go run, because a lot of times I felt trapped in my trauma. So running and sprinting, that's why my workouts are the way that they are. They release this trauma. They show me my strength. They show me the way, right? Yoga, holding hard poses for a while, holding like in hot yoga, you're holding a pose for a while. You're showing your body that you can do hard things, and then you release it and you control it. Cold plunges are a way to complete the cycle. Meditation, if you want to sit in silence. Dance and movement. Dance and movement. It gets to be fun. Go dancing with your girlfriends. Feel. Don't dance as a mating call for the other sex who's watching you or whatever. Like if you saw me on a dance floor, like my boyfriend, literally, hold on, let me show you this video. Hold on. From this weekend. He was borrowing my best friend's jacket, so I was taking a video of him. And then, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. God, why am I so emotional today? Let's see. Albums. Oh.
Girly, girly.
This is the Laura, because I'm like out in the dance floor and it's not like normal dancing. It's just like I feel things in my body. And I remember the first time we went dancing, he's like, okay. Like I wasn't even aware that he was there. Yes, there's other types of dancing, but like sometimes it's just letting yourself feel and let it the swirly dirly. Thanks, baby. But it's literally that. And it's just so like we forget that everyone is the main character in their own movie. We forget that part of life. Like you're the main character in your movie. I'm the main character in my movie. Sexy Man's the main character in his movie, and we forget and we approach life thinking everyone's paying attention to us. No one's fucking like if people are watching, good. My sister used to make this fucking joke because I've been doing this for a while, but like I would come back from Asia and we would go out in Miami and I would go dancing and I literally do the funky chicken. And I called it my mating call because every fucking time, like men would just swoon. And she's like, how the fuck does that work? And I was like, because it's me, right? Like it's the energy. I'm not trying to do anything. That is literally me. So some people, they're in it when they're doing bachata, you know, like salsa or whatever. Like there's people that are like breakdancing and hip hop. Like when you're in it, people are magnetized to you. And like for me, it's just doing a swirly dirly or whatever the fuck my boyfriend called it, or the chicken leg dance. Like it's that energy of doing it, and it's like releasing the stuff from your body and stepping into your magnetism because it's pleasurable and desirable. Okay, so the last one. How do we feel about that one? How are we feeling? I keep drinking more liquids even though I have to pee. I should know better. So the last code. We're focusing you lost focus that the goal is to discover more about yourself and to fall in love, more in love with you, not to change yourself in order to be chosen. And this kind of hints at what I was just talking about in the beginning. Whereas like if I look back at my last relationship, it was like so much was like, this is what housewives do, right? This is what will get me the ring, right? Like even when he cheated, like it was still me working to understand so I wouldn't lose him. So I cut parts of myself away, the anger, the truth telling, the mostly the anger, like just being like, what the fuck? Like I didn't want to disrupt the boat, so I didn't bring a lot of that. I mean, it came in waves, of course, but it's like I was not being authentic in that, you know. And there's something by James Baldwin where he wrote, you've got to tell the world how to treat you, because if the world tells you how you are going to be treated, you're going to be in trouble. I think this all comes back to reclaiming ownership and reclaiming your personal power and reclaiming that being too much is just enough, you know, and it's okay to have the feminine, like the feminine desire is to want more. That's normal, you know, and to want more and to be more and to always be on this path of growth, like that is the feminine. That's powerful. But sometimes we shy away from the potency of our power to think, oh, if I'm too much, if I'm too driven. I remember before I went on my first date with my last boyfriend, I was sitting outside and I was talking about how, you know, it's going to be a $10,000 month. And I was so excited. And, you know, my dad goes, you know, why don't you just be a little bit less on this date though? See, I was raised in that kind of environment. And I looked at him and I had done enough work that I went, thank you so much for the advice, but I'm going to be all of me and see how that works. And I forgot that. Like, thanks. I forgot, like I forgot the power of that. Also 4 counts in, 4 counts out. This is the meditation. And in parts of me, I was all of me. But it wasn't until the end that I saw when the threat to leave started to happen and, all these parts. Like I was all of me and then I wasn't. And truth be told, the thing in that relationship, and I wonder if you guys have this as well, and if you can think back to a thing that drew him to me was my drive. But I shut my drive down because I didn't want to challenge him. I didn't want my drive to be too much because my drive was and is above many people's. And I didn't want to challenge him. I didn't want him to feel smaller. And so I cut parts of myself away, even though when we were doing our closing ceremony and our breakup, he's like, that was the part that drew me to you. And I hope that, and he even said, like in the breakup, where it's just like, I can't be, I want you to become the woman that you were meant to be. And it doesn't seem like you can do that with me. And I can't, like I can't do that with you. And, there's respect there, but, he wasn't wrong. Right. And it's looking at this where it was like, where do we do that? Where are you doing that? And like, where does that not really come from, but how do we stop it? Right. Like, how do we start to feel into our body where it's like, who told you that it's not safe to be all of you? And do you even know what all of you is anymore? And how do you start to reclaim that? And, we start to shy away from being a high value woman. What I mean by high value woman is having fucking standards. Because if we want to be a high value woman, we call in a high value man. But sometimes we're waiting to call in a high value man to become a high value woman. You have to claim that as such as you right now, and not from a stance of I'm a high value woman, so no to this, no to this, no to this. Let me seek out red flags and live from my trauma and live from all these things because this is what I deserve. I'm going to put myself on a pedestal. I'm going to walk out of dates without telling them. I'm going to ghost people because, they're twats. I'm going to do all these kind of things because here's my stance and here's my thing. And let me look at my pretty pedestal. If you put yourself on a pedestal, you become untouchable. Equal power, but different. Every single person is equal power, but different. Even the homeless people on the street. Equal power, but different. You can learn something from every single person. This is why I love dating, why I love relationships, and why I will follow my heart 100 times until I find the right one. Because every time I become the best version of myself. And that's a choice. You get that choice many times. We think relationships, I'm going to cut this part out of me so I can get chosen. I'm going to cut this part out of me because I got hurt. This guy didn't pick me there. This guy didn't pick me there. And I did this too. This is how I became the version of myself that met my last partner, because it was from fucking my first boyfriend in like 7th grade who broke up with me to date my best friend. I stopped being all of me. And so it's looking at your parts of yourself, like where has a broken heart built up this self-protection mechanisms? Because a lot of the times what science calls, or what society calls self-sabotage is scientifically self-protection. And we do this in heartbreak. Why do I keep calling in this guy? Why do I have these relationships? Why do I keep having this argument? Why are we not having sex? Why does my partner keep cheating? Why do I keep cheating? Well, we self-sabotage to self-protect. Right? Self-sabotage. And so it's looking at these things, and it's taking radical ownership. It's going, I want to be all of me. I want to not just be chosen, I want to choose. There are billions of people in this world. Sometimes we get tripped up on this, like we think there's one and that's it. And the one that was meant for us broke up with us, and therefore there are no more men. That's okay. We're going to feel that for a week because we love dramatics. And then you remember you're the fucking prize. And the more that you date, the more that you realize, the more that there are so many beautiful people out there. Like there are really good men out there. I choose to believe that because I trust in men and their power. That was a choice I made when I was talking about desire and pleasure. It's a choice I make every day. And it would make sense for someone like me that has been sexually assaulted, that has been beat until she almost died, that has had her own father abandon her. Like, it would make sense for me to hate men. And I could sit here and I could bash them and I could do all the things. And I bet you I would get more people in my programs or whatever. I love men. I respect men. I believe there are so many good men. So many. Because I choose that. And I am surrounded by that because that's my choice. Because I am a high value woman. So of course high value men are around me. Because that is a choice and I treat myself as such. How can you start to treat yourself as such? Not from a projected pedestal way, but like a true queen, grounded, from a Madonna, nurturing and loving, from a sacred slut that is alive in her femininity. Where can you start to choose these parts of yourself? Because high value doesn't need convincing. High value doesn't need you to pitch yourself on a date to someone for them to choose you. It is just you there holding eye contact, being present, being in this space, being you. Because how rare it is to be actually authentic nowadays. That's the captivation. It's not being anything. It's not the way we look. It's not the way we speak. It's being ourselves. That's why doing the fucking chicken dance in the middle of a club in Miami led to several dates. Because it's rare. And it's not to put on a show. That is just genuinely me. I look very classy and I dress the way I dress. And I'm probably the weirdest person you're going to ever meet. And the things I do. That is me. But like, you look at my best friend, we dress similar. She is classy. There is not a joke bone in her fucking body unless we're around each other. But like, she doesn't make jokes. That's not her thing. She's a very serious human being. She's like my rock. like there's different person, and she's magnetic in her own way because that is her. I have friends that are in the Amazon and they run around and they're like half naked and like there's this thing and you're like, I couldn't do that, but holy fucking pickles, you are so magnetic because that is them. Like, everyone is everything that is uniquely them when they choose to be that. That is the essence of femininity. It is not the woman that's doing womb work or the woman that is doing the trauma work or sitting in the sister circles or drinking the cacao or dressing in a certain way. Like, that's not it. It's not it. You could be sitting in your robe and be the sexiest you've ever been. You could be dressed to the nines with your hat on, with your red lipstick, sexiest you've ever been. You could be in your chill loungewear, probably still black because that's what I wear. I'm describing myself right now, and still be the sexiest you've ever been. You could be butt fucking naked. That's usually our sexiest, let's be honest. But it's not about being anything. It's about, can you choose yourself first before you even step into the dating world? And I highly recommend Sacred Singlehood if you haven't yet. It's about choosing yourself, showing up for yourself, giving yourself the permission to be all of you. All of you. And of course, when we're dating, and I'll talk about this in the dating program, there's a tapering of that. It's not sitting at the table and spewing everything because that's a trauma response. But it's this sexual mystery that obviously there's something more. And it's this slow diversion of this stuff because that is you, like, the freest woman you will ever know is the one that doesn't have any secrets, but keeps the intimate details of her life to herself because she feels called, not because she's afraid. Like, you guys know me. I share a lot of my life. But there are intimate details that I keep to myself because that is me. Obviously, there's a Christmas tree and then there's a stump. If I gave you all my stump, it'd be a very depressing life. But I give both, right? And there's this mystery, and it's not that I have any secrets. Literally, it's the most free thing I've ever felt. Like, you know, when you compulsively like lie or you manipulate things and you tell these things so that you could sell about, and then you like lose sight of your stories. And really, at the end of the day, any type of lie is just the insecurity within yourself. And it's like, when you free yourself of any of that, you're done. Like, you're free. You're like truly free. And then the only things that are, you know, kept to yourself are like these intimate details. That's freedom. And that's what this is. And so 4 counts in, 4 counts out. And so remembering as we date, as we are in partnership, as we go through the reclamation, it isn't about becoming anything else. It's about remembering who you've always been. That's it. Reclaiming that. And that takes this weird experimental phase. It takes this surrender into that and knowing like you're not going to get it wrong. You're always going to feel like the thing about imposter syndrome is like, oh, but that feels weird. It's like everything feels weird because we haven't been doing it. Everything you are is an imposter if it's new. That's the way that works. So if we keep getting like behind that, like I feel like an imposter, or I feel fear, or I can't do this and I can't do that, it's like it's gonna feel weird. I was talking about this the other day when I was talking about me and my partner exploring different, not modes of sexuality, because that sounds interesting, but just like different ways. And it feels weird at first because we're like giggling and we're like, oh. But like both of our desires to explore those parts of ourselves. So it's like this thing, right? And for me, it's about exploring how can I become more confident in expressing my needs, my wants, and my desires in the bedroom, right? And same thing for him. It's not about the other person, it's about ourselves. And in that, we're choosing each other. That's a perfect example of this, right? Like we get to a certain point of that, but when we're dating, it's like, remember that this is all just you. How do you want to communicate? What do you learn about your attachment styles? What are your boundaries? How do you talk about it? What do you see coming up from your past that you no longer want with you? What do you see coming up from your past that you do want with you, that you love? And how can you start to play with that? Right? Like this is the essence of magnetism. When you truly love yourself and become a high value woman to yourself and like say it and you look at yourself and you're like, I am a high value woman. This is glorious. Freedom. That's how you become a match for this world, for clients, for opportunities, for men, for women, for friendships, for like that. It's the reclamation of that and like truly feeling that in your body. Okay. So how are we feeling? What's coming up? I loved this program. This is the reclamation. This is taking ownership. This is making moves before you're ready. This is, staying in the game when you want to protect. This is humbling yourself. This is taking radical ownership over your life. This is, investing time and money and like when it doesn't make sense because you want to be something. You want to claim something. You feel that fire inside of you. You want to step into it and show up in that. And I truly feel that for this next year, like it more than anything in my body, like the things, the codes, the things like this is just a peek inside of what's coming for us. This is so different than any other masterclass that I'd done. Like some of the codes, sure, but like the energy, the way it's done, the things that we're doing, this is what 2023 is. It's big. It's fucking huge. It almost feels bigger than me, honestly. And I want you to feel that way about your life too. Be open to that. Claim it. It's a new moon. It is a new moon today, which is all about intention setting and investing. It's the last one of the year. It is a new fucking year. And even though this year was maybe hard, I really invite you to sit down and do what I just said. That's what I do, right? Like I go through and I have an album on my phone and I look at, holy shit, I just saw that 16 degrees outside. That's wild. I have an album on my phone where it's my highlight. I go through my photos and I label it 2022 reflection. And from every month I pick a photo or multiple photos, it doesn't really matter. And I create my own highlight reel and I look at it. And I realize sometimes we forget how great life truly is. And when we look at how life truly is, we get to claim ownership over that of every hard thing that is playing in our mind, that is spiking up our amygdala, that is making us reactive, that is making us play in self-doubt. We forget that we've walked through every hard thing this year. You have walked through every hard fucking thing this year. Every single thing, you made it here. So claim that, see that, celebrate it. Before we start to get in, fuck this year, and yes, new year, new me, all the kind of things. It's like, new year elevated me. Because obviously we only go forward. That's it. If not this, something better. That's literally what this tattoo means. But don't forget how magical this year was, even if it was hard. Even if when you're scrolling through and you realize and you feel all the pain that was felt. Remember all the giggles and the woman that you became and the woman that you're becoming because of all of that. The stump that had to trim away all the dead branches so that it could grow new life. That is this moment. That is what this year is. That is what this death and rebirth cycle is. And it gets to propel you into this beautiful growth and everything that's coming. So I'm so excited for all your growth. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you, whether this is the beginning of our relationship or the end. I'm sure I'll see you somewhere on the internet. But, you know, like I said, we have Iconic, which is our high level 6-month program, or one-to-one mentorship. It's not a program. Mentorship. You get access to the product suite. You get Voxer support. You get all of me in your corner. So this is the highest value that we have, and prices will be increasing next year. We have behind the scenes, the mastermind that's happening inside Voxer. So you get the support for 4 weeks to have you go into the new year and keep yourself accountable in this, right? We go beyond just relationships in this. We do life and business and money and family and health and everything in there. And it's great. I know, Dawn, you were in there for the dating one, which was amazing. And we talked about that. And that is going to be 4 weeks, and you can jump in there. That is currently $777. I'm going to add until the, I'm going to do both of them. So that'll be until tomorrow as well. And then we have Backstage Pass, which is all of our master classes for 2023. That is over $2,000 in value if you bought them a la carte individually, but we're selling it for $1,100. And we're actually doing the giveaway around that. So if you share on social media, I'll be drawing that tomorrow. And whoever gets that gets all access. Right now we have 10, but y'all know I am in a creative vortex and have so many things. So you get all those for next year. And then if you wanted to just purchase that now, we do have extended payment plans for that because it's a 12-month thing. And for the next 24 hours, I'm doing that for $777. So I'll put this all in the email. I'm going to be sending out a email with that, all the replays, and then I'm going to be asking for some feedback on this because it's the first time we ran this. So I'll be sending that out tomorrow. Well, it's Christmas Eve. I'll be sending that out Monday, or my team will send that out, and asking for feedback, what you thought of this, what came up for you, what you'd like more of. This really helps us to elevate the experiences for y'all. So let me know. That really, really does mean the world for me. This was a free experience. So just kind of giving back, and that is my request of you to do that. That'd be really fucking helpful. But yeah, 2023, come hang out over on Instagram. That's where you'll see all of our offers. And of course, you're welcome. I love you so much. And yeah, let me know what's new, what's fresh. And I will see you somewhere on the internet, in the world, other kind of thing. So I love you. Happy holidays and happy healings. Bye.